Greetings. I'm Suzanne Tikubar from Quivering. I've forgotten my lipstick for a change. I actually want to talk today about a couple of things. Today we're starting anew with a new computer, so hopefully this will be better looking than before. I won't be better looking, but hopefully hopefully the screen will be clear and my voice will be clear and it'll upload a lot faster. I am in desperate need of new equipment. I find out a little bit. When you live in Central America, getting computer equipment can be very difficult. And as you well know, I can't fly to the States right now because of the COVID-19. COVID. I'm forbidden from coming back and flying out and going, and it's a big drag. But anyway, I want to talk about the pearls today. The pearls, it's that 6 times a year that I just love when they have their new magazine come out, when they have their No Greater Joy magazine. 6 times a year. Lately, it's been kind of up and down ever since Mike had his stroke. They've actually skipped a couple of times. The last 3 or 4 issues have had no calendar pages. Last issue only had 3 articles, none written by Mike. This time they have 8, most of them written by Mike, or supposedly written. The one today really made me laugh because it involved the idea of forest bathing. I had not heard it termed that way, but basically what forest bathing is going for a walk in the woods and enjoying yourself, having a good time of it, getting fresh air, all the good parts that you really want when you're exercising outdoors and building your endorphins and various things. That's all well and great, but of course the pearls took it to the craziest toxic place ever, started claiming you were getting essential oils from all the plants instead of just smelling the essential oil that comes off of pine trees, which is what it was about. They made a bunch of claims about scientific evidence that's unsupported by anything I've seen. There have been some studies. None of them involved what they were talking about at all. So yet again, this is Debbie Pearl's ridiculous medical crap that she always does. I want to talk too about yesterday. We did a thing about the Duggar daughters. Now, if you've been following any of the Duggar daughters, you will see that none of them work real jobs. What they do is they all have these sponsorships that they're doing to make money. And I just feel quite bad for all of them because they don't have any job skills or anything like this. This is the best thing that they could do, is to do sponsorships. Well, it hasn't worked out well for Ginger because Ginger keeps getting booted from all of her sponsors because people write in and complain that this is somebody that's not to be emulated. This is someone who was sexually molested by her brother, who promotes all kinds of different awful things. Her husband is connected with McDonald of the whole, I can't remember if it's King's or Masters University, but it's one of those out of California that is linked with it's linked with a whole bunch of other ridiculous people, including Bob Jones University, and they believe that gays are evil and wrong. They believe no abortion ever, no divorce, women have no rights under them. Just a whole laundry list of the most awful things that you could come up with in Fundytown. That's what Ginger and her husband believe in. So please don't support their things. At the same time, I feel sorry for Jill because Jill is struggling to recover from life in the Duggar household. Her husband, Derek, has confided that they're in therapy and that Jill is working her way through the toxic belief system that she was taught under, which can only be good. I hope she makes it through. But in the meantime, she has also given out some very toxic advice on tattling. And it's not even really about tattling. Her advice was really more about if you are in the family and you're fighting with somebody else, you're not getting along, the typical sibling rivalry that everybody deals with, you don't tattle over it. Well, while I'll agree that tattling is not necessarily the best thing in the world, it's usually the youngest child claiming some power for themselves against the older children who are more powerful and just generally bigger. It's the weapon of little kids. That's what tattling is. Her and her tattling She was supposedly the family tattle. Now she's trying to teach her two kids not to tattle, but it sounds more like she's trying to teach them not to fight, which is something that all mothers deal with, trying to teach your kids about sibling rivalry, not to fight. In my own life with my kids, I finally had to take the stance when they reached a certain age that as long as nobody was bleeding, there were not broken bones, no one was in danger, then you just don't involve adults in it. You try to work out the problem yourself. And only if you cannot, or it's escalating, do you involve your mother or father or other adults. And I stand by that, unless someone has the potential to be hurt or it's a crime. It's better if you give the kids a little space at least to try to work this out, because it is a life skill that we all need to develop and we need to work on our entire lives. I just returned from my attorney. I thought after the stupid death threats I was getting for one of Lori Alexander's supporters, that it would probably be a good idea to have a tune-up with him. I did. And we had that conversation. We had the death threat conversation, and I filed all the paperwork I need to file on that. It was interesting, though, because I just wanted to make sure that Lori and her fans that keep talking about suing me, what the process would be for that. Here's the interesting thing living in Costa Rica. Costa Rica's corporations are privately registered. Everything I own is through a corporation. If someone sues you in Costa Rica for something like, Lori says slander, but we all know that slander is the incorrect term. That would be libel, because libel is written, slander is spoken, that they would have a hard time proving it, number one. Rules are very different here. Laws are different on how you can sue, what you can sue for. Everything I own is owned through my corporation, and the most that Lori et al. Could sue for is that $75 that Costa Rica says that I personally own. Have at it. If you want to spend $100,000 to sue me for $75, I welcome it. I would like to see you in court, if nothing else, so that I could do discovery and ask a whole lot of questions about various ministries and some of the other things. So going back to that whole marriage theme, I was talking about marriage this morning, and on Tim Fall's website, I don't know if you follow Tim. He does his own blog, One Train Wreck After Another. He's a Christian I follow. He and Sheila Gregory are two of the two that I actually like, that I agree with a lot of things. Well, anyway, Tim was talking about returning to life after COVID-19, something that all of us are struggling with. Where is that line? How contagious are we? What are our chances and our exposures and things? Well, I made the mistake on Tim Fall's blog today of saying that my husband had gone to church on Sunday. He did go to church here. He didn't go to our usual church, and I'm not going to church. I'll go back to church when we have a vaccine. Until that point, Well, anyway, so I explained that he had gone to a different church and there had been social distancing and masking, but eventually everybody took off their masks. And everybody took after me because they said, your husband exposed you to COVID-19. He may have exposed me to COVID-19, but I don't think so. There's only 2 cases in the whole canton, the little state area, county that we live in, number one. And number two, here's the thing that most fundamentalists don't get about marriage. But I just want to say, I've got to talk about this. I know I'm getting long and windy here. Marriage, when you get a marriage license, this is something that Christians, and especially evangelical churches, get so wrong. Getting a marriage